Colombia's nightmare, Luis Garavito's reign of terror. He kidnapped children, tortured them, raped them, killed them. Shockingly, he confessed to murdering more than 190 children. But why? Stick until the end to find out. How did it all start? Born in 1957 in Colombia, Garavito had a tough childhood. He claimed that his father was a very strict person who would frequently abuse him, both physically and verbally. While talking about his mother, he said that she was also a violent woman. At school, Garavito was bullied by his classmates. He eventually left school in 1968, but his life didn't become easy. In 1969, a neighbor who was friends with Garavito's father allegedly subjected him to extensive physical and sexual abuse. According to Garavito, this neighbor bound him to a bed, abused him sexually, burned him, cut him with a razor blade, and also bit his genitals. Following this incident, Garavito became so angry that he killed 2 birds in frustration. After this incident, he started targeting his younger siblings. He would make them sleep with him naked and sexually fondle them. He had become very aggressive and appeared to be wanting to take revenge on the world. Relocation to Trujillo. It was in the year 1971 when Garavito's family relocated to Trujillo and the neighbor's abuse finally ended. However, by this time, Garavito had become sexually impotent with female partners, and he had also met another neighbor here who showed him heterosexual porn videos. When Garavito showed disgust, his neighbor became angry and started beating him. The neighbor then raped Garavito. After some time, Garavito made multiple aggressive attempts to start sexual relationships with women. However, he failed and became an alcoholic. Garavito is caught raping a young boy. It was in 1972 when Garavito's mother first caught him raping a boy, who was just 5 years old at the time. The next year, he was again caught trying to sexually assault a 6-year-old boy, but the young boy screamed and Garavito was caught. He told the police officials that he only wanted to lightly molest the child. Eventually, his father kicked him out of the house for homosexual behavior. He then started working while also studying marketing. In his quest for a different life, Luis Garavito attempted to hold down a job and create a family. However, during the 1970s, he repeatedly gravitated back to regions in Colombia notorious for child sex trafficking. The 1980s marked a chilling turning point as his sexual addiction took a darker turn. Not only did he go to great lengths to sexually assault children, but he also sank into the horrifying realm of torturing them. Despite an underlying sense of remorse for his actions, Garavito admitted himself to a psychiatric hospital for a month. While he never confessed to his crimes, he did seek help for his depression and underwent treatment that included medication for depression and psychosis during multiple hospital stays. Regrettably, these visits failed to deter him from perpetrating more heinous crimes. His crimes. Garavito usually targeted young boys with lighter skin and eyes, aged between 6 and 16. He'd often disguise himself as a vendor, priest, or someone in authority to approach them during the day. Always in different disguises, he'd lure kids with money, food, or job promises, and take them to remote areas outside town to commit his crimes. There he'd tie up, sexually assault, and harm the children, biting, burning, and torturing them in various ways. Over time, Garavito escalated his actions. Experts believe he might have targeted and harmed a child at least once a month. Between 1986 and 1992, he became increasingly obsessed with mass murderers, including Hitler, which might have pushed him further. He also claimed a demonic voice influenced his first murder in 1992. Now, this victim was a boy named Juan Carlos, who was followed by Garavito during the night. Garavito used a butcher knife to cut off his genitals, and even knocked the boy's front teeth. Nearly a week later, Garavito again raped and murdered a 12-year-old boy. He went silent for a few months and struck again before moving to Bogotá, where he killed 8 young boys. By this time, he had started documenting all his crimes in a journal. He even kept mementos of his crimes. After that, his frequency increased and authorities believed that at one point, he was murdering multiple victims in a single day. By this time, he had his own place in Bogotá, but he continued to target victims throughout Colombia. Now, here it is important to note that there are times when Garavito would stop raping and murdering children, and he had multiple run-ins with police, but always managed to escape. The police repeatedly brought him in for questioning whenever a young boy went missing. In some chilling instances, he craftily claimed that he had merely left the child unharmed, or he cleverly accused the police of unfairly targeting him due to his limp. Shockingly, they would release him, only to discover the horrific truth hours later. The disfigured and decapitated remains of the vanished child were uncovered. By that time, Garavito was already en route to his next destination, leaving a trail of devastation behind. He was eventually arrested. Garavito's preferred victims were often children from less privileged backgrounds, such as those in the working class, homeless, peasants, or orphans. His targets tended to be slender children with gentle features, fair eyes, hair, or complexion, which he considered to be innocent-looking. Now, it was in the year 1998 when the police officials found mutilated bodies of multiple children, along with a note at the crime scene. The note led them to the house of Garavito's girlfriend, who was questioned and gave the police officials Garavito's bag of documentation. The police had confirmed through these journals that the killer was Garavito, and they went to Garavito's Bogota residence. But they couldn't catch him at that time. Then, in April of 1999, an eyewitness connected Garavito to a sexual assault incident, and he was taken into custody. He was questioned aggressively, and the authorities used various techniques to link him to the disappearances and murders of dozens of children. While Garavito was temporarily out of his cell, investigators collected DNA samples from his pillow and living area. Remarkably, the DNA discovered on the victims matched the DNA found within Garavito's cell. Initially, he confessed to murdering 140 children. Later, more evidence was discovered, and the authorities linked Garavito to an additional 32 victims. Well, he was officially charged with the deaths of 172 victims throughout Colombia. As part of his punishment, Garavito was sentenced to an astounding 1,853 years and 9 days in prison, marking the lengthiest sentence in Colombian history. However, Colombian law imposes a 40-year imprisonment limit, which combined with Garavito's assistance in locating the victims' remains, resulted in a reduced sentence of 22 years. His life in prison. Garavito served his sentence in a high-security prison located in Valledupar, within the department of El Cesar in Colombia. Due to the severe risks of his safety, he was held separately from all the other inmates to prevent immediate harm. There was a possibility that he could have been considered for parole in 2023, once he had completed 3/5 of his sentence. However, in 2021, a judge denied a request for his early release based on good behavior, citing his failure to pay a fine intended for the victims. During his incarceration, Garavito appeared to retain hope. He conveyed his intentions to Colombian Senator Carlos Moreno de Caro, expressing aspirations to enter Colombian Congress, join the ministry as a Pentecostal pastor, and marry a woman, rejecting his self-admitted homosexuality. He believed these actions would enable him to assist abused children upon his release. However, Garavito endured severe afflictions, including eye cancer and leukemia, which ultimately left him blind, frail, and constantly fatigued. His final days were spent within the medical unit of Valledupar's prison, crafting handcuffs, earrings, and necklaces. Psychiatrists diagnosed him with antisocial personality disorder. Garavito passed away in the Valledupar hospital on October 12, 2023, at the age of 66. That's all for today's video, and thanks for watching it. Before you leave, make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to never miss any updates. Until next time, take care and stay tuned.